Are you ever frustrated about not being able to have what you most want? Whether it's a loving relationship, a special car, a longed-for vacation, or a nicer house. You might think, I'm as good a person as the next person. Why can others have what I don't? The answer is not really complicated, but it does present the fact that there are obstacles in your way. You see, there's a section in your mind that you usually aren't even consciously aware of that has programs running it that are often the exact opposite of what you want. That's a strange idea, isn't it? Of course, there is the part of your mind that you're aware of. I'm speaking of your conscious, analytical mind, the one that you use every day to ponder things and make decisions. But there's this mysterious subconscious mind of yours, and it runs below the awareness of your conscious awareness. So you're not usually even aware of what's going on in there, like what it believes or how it limits your life. The reason it is so powerful is because it stores all of your memories, all of your feelings and emotions, and most importantly, all the limiting beliefs you've acquired since you were born. Here's how it works. Many psychologists liken your subconscious mind to a computer, which, although it could be extremely powerful, operates only according to a set of instructions in its programming. What makes up all the programming that you have running in your subconscious, they're composed of all the conclusions and all the beliefs you've absorbed your whole life. And that includes your limiting fears, your doubts, your limiting and lack programs, like you could only make a certain limited amount of money, or you're not worthy of a good relationship, or it's just not your destiny to have good luck or even attract good things. All these memories and subconscious programs, in turn, then exert a tremendous influence on your conscious behavior and your actions. That's what determines what you actually end up having in life. From the time you were born, your mind began receiving input from those around you. As you grew, you went on to be told you can't do this or that. You're bombarded with negativity and limitations by all those people around you. They'd say things to you like, you're a bad boy or a bad girl. Why can't you ever get things right? I told you no, and I mean no. In fact, researchers estimate that by the time you enter school, you've been exposed to the word no 40,000 or more times. That's a lot of negative programming, right? This is especially a problem when you're young, when you're so impressionable as a child, strongly influenced by all the limiting beliefs of those around you. So you began seeing yourself in limiting ways, according to the opinions that are projected on you by parents and teachers and friends. This formed an image of yourself that you have inside of you. It's in your subconscious mind, and that's your self-image. And it was basically formed by the time you were 12 years old. And yet, it continues to affect you for the rest of your life, unless you actually go into your subconscious and change it. And here's the critical piece of information about your self-image. It doesn't change by itself, and it can keep running your life for decades. Let me give you a real-life example how this happens. Imagine there's a Little League baseball player who usually gets up to bat and strikes out. This has already happened to him numerous times, and now he's about to get up to bat again. Now, what kind of feelings and images and thoughts are going through that child's mind as he walks up to the plate? Do you think he's thinking, this time I'm going to hit a home run? Of course not. This youngster has very little self-confidence because each time he gets up to bat, he's more nervous and scared than the time before. And that's one of the biggest reasons why he usually strikes out. And I can tell you the reason I know this is because as a child, I played on a Little League baseball team. And I remember the nervousness and the fear that I would strike out as I walked up to bat. And in fact, I wound up striking out every time except twice the entire year. Can you imagine how it felt to strike out again and again? I had that sinking feeling of humiliation, embarrassment, and defeat. It was really horrible. The same type of things happen if you were bullied, if you were teased, ridiculed, blamed, criticized, or even if you were made fun of when you were a child. These type of things make really lasting impressions on a child's mind. So when you become an adult and you approach a stressful or challenging business or relationship situation, you react with the same kind of nervousness, doubts, fears, anxiety that you're going to be rejected or strike out again. Let me tell you a true story about another way the subconscious programming works. This is about someone who thought he was limited and thought he couldn't change. In other words, he was stuck and he couldn't make the breakthroughs he wanted. Back in the mid-1970s, no human being had ever lifted 500 pounds overhead. No one believed it was even possible. The world's record was held by a Russian, Vasily Alexiev. Vasily had come pretty close a few times, but he had never broken that 500-pound barrier. Well, for one important competition, his trainers told him that he would be lifting a weight that he had lifted before, 499 pounds. But after he lifted it, he discovered his trainers tricked him about the weight. He had actually lifted more than 500 pounds. And he set a new world's record. What his trainers did was purposely tell him to do something he already believed and knew he could do. And so their trick on him erased that limiting belief that he had, not only in his mind, but also in the mind of every other weightlifter. Now here's another perfect real-life example of a friend of mine who was a salesman of a big company, and he had made $56,000 a year for 2 years. And so the company decided they were going to move him into a better territory where he could make a whole lot more money. But the amazing thing was that when they moved him to this new territory, he wound up making the exact same amount of money. That was $56,000 that year. So then they decided to move him to another territory. This time, they put him in an area where the former salesman only made $35,000 that year. Surprisingly, my friend, once again, wound up making $56,000. And that's when he asked me if I could help him figure out what was going on. When I started discussing this with him, we found out that his father had never made more than $56,000. And that became set in his mind as a limit of what he could earn. Isn't that amazing? And this type of pattern is very common. People often limit themselves by their parents' accomplishments. What happened to my friend was that his subconscious programming kept him on a course to always make $56,000. No more, no less, regardless of circumstances. You see, the subconscious functions somewhat like an autopilot in an airplane. The autopilot keeps the plane on course until the course is changed. So if the automatic pilot's set for a course that would take it into the side of a mountain, that's where the plane's going. And if your subconscious autopilot is set on lack, limitation, failure, that's also what will happen. So here's the $64,000 question. How do you get through to change your subconscious programming? Well, it's not really a secret. The quickest, most powerful way to reprogram your subconscious mind is by using a special form of visualization, imagining, and it can totally turn your life around. Let me explain this with a fascinating study. 30 people were divided into 3 groups. On the first day, they went out to a golf course, and on the putting green, their putting accuracy was measured. For the next 6 days, one group was asked to imagine in their mind making a successful putt before every attempt. They were told to imagine all the details, how they would hold the club, how they would make a gentle backswing, and to visualize stroking the putt smoothly down the target and then they were told to imagine the ball would roll right into the cup. A second group was also asked to imagine a putt, but they were told to visualize the ball going toward the cup, but at the last instant, the ball would swerve away from the cup and they would miss the putt. The third group was simply told to go out and try to sink each putt. After 6 days, the group that had used positive imagination and visualization before every putt improved by an amazing 30%. The group that had practiced but made no use of visualization, they increased, but only by 10%. So this demonstrates how powerful visualization can be when used when learning a new task, even when people have not used that skill before. But there's something about the results of this study that are even more interesting. The group that visualized the ball missing the cup showed a decrease in accuracy of 21% after only 6 days. And what this proves is that thinking about failure can actually damage your performance. Just like a baseball player afraid of striking out and then going up to bat and striking out. What you fear or have a negative outlook about is what you tend to create for yourself. But visualizing the positive also creates what you want. And there's more than a 50% difference between the group that visualized failure and the group that visualized successfully putting. And that 50% difference was after only 6 days of visualizing. Now, isn't that incredible? The images and thoughts that you hold in your mind create and bring them into your life. Now, let me tell you about another amazing study that was done. The Soviet Union used mental training techniques with skiers training for the Winter Olympics at Lake Placid, New York in 1981. Group A had 100% physical training. Group B had 75% physical training and 25% mental training. Group C had 50% physical training and 50% mental training. And Group D had only 25% physical training, but 75% mental training. Now, which group do you think did the best? Which one do you think had the greatest improvement in their performance? It was Group D, the group that had 75% mental training and only 25% physical training. The other groups all improved in the order of the amount of mental training, not physical training, that each of the groups had. Surprisingly, last of all was Group A, which was the group that had 100% physical training and no mental training. So all these studies and examples prove, without a doubt, that mental training is even more important than physical training. And that is why the best athletes and most successful people use it. There's more. I have one more key for you to help you reprogram your subconscious mind that works hand in hand with visualization. This is called your self-talk or mind talk. It's what you are saying and thinking all day long. In fact, it's usually pretty hard to turn it off, and it can either bring you up or it can get you down. This mental self-talk impacts your subconscious mind, and over time, it becomes your accepted internal belief system. The way it gets into your subconscious mind is through repetition. So every time you worry about something, about a negative outcome, or you doubt, or you question, or you blame, or you criticize yourself, you are actually reinforcing the negative or the limiting belief. And repetition is one of the most powerful ways of reprogramming your subconscious mind. In fact, that's how most of your limiting beliefs got in there in the first place. Remember me saying that most children are exposed to being told no more than 40,000 times, even before they start kindergarten? And it's pretty common for most people to put themselves down with negative self-talk like, I'm not smart enough. I'm too fat. I'm too old. I'm not good looking enough. I'll never be rich. I'm not talented enough. There seems to be something wrong with me. And the inner voice that says, I'm just not good enough. It's no wonder with these kinds of things going around in just about everybody's mind, there are so many problems with relationships and money and health and just about everything else. I've been studying this subject now for over 40 years, and I've successfully worked with many thousands of people in my private counseling practice and hundreds of workshops in which I've taught methods to break through the limiting subconscious programming. Now I've taken the best of the best visualization and mind talk techniques, and I've put them in a training program called the Prosperity Solution: How to Decode the Abundance Mindset. This is a practical course that guides you to activate the laws of attraction through the use of the life-changing secrets of visualization. And that is the language of the subconscious mind. And this is why this training is the most powerful subconscious reprogramming tool of all time. The Prosperity Solution: How to Decode the Abundance Mindset makes visualization a very easy process for you. Anybody could do it, because I guide you step by step through a series of proven visualization techniques. There's a lot more information below this video, and this program can open the doors to your life that you've dreamed of and the life you really deserve. It really can all be yours.